This podcast is brought to you by Craft Beer and Brewing Magazine for those that love to make and drink great beer. To learn more or to subscribe, visit beerandbrewing.com or find us on social media at Craft Beer Brew. We're in Portland, Oregon for this week's episode of the podcast, and joining me from their brewery in southeast Portland is Shaun of Ruse. Welcome to the podcast, Shaun.
Thanks, Jamie, for having me.
You are local favorites, a lot of your favorites of other brewers here in Portland, and a lot of brewers that I've been talking to this weekend, have talked to you. I was in town judging with the Oregon Brewers Guild, the Best of the West competition. So it was I don't know, a whole bunch of West Coast IPAs across, I think, 6 different categories, and it was a really fun weekend of judging.
Crazy good beers probably on there.
Yeah. And then I went to the Legends of the West Festival out there at Grains of Wrath and Washougal. And speaking of West Coast IPA, you all at the Oregon Beer Awards this year took a gold.
Oh my gosh!
In front of Sun River and Breakside, in the West Coast IPA category.
Yeah, that's not a small feat for us. Yeah, we absolutely respect both those breweries so much. Both companies have some of the best friends in the industry. I love Ben Edmonds so much. Great guy.
We all do.
And also Brett over at Sun River.
Yeah.
Great dude too as well. So being on the stage with those guys means a lot. And it was just kind of hard work of the team over the culmination of probably 6 or 8 months to get to that point that we really felt pretty happy with where our beer was, and it paid off, I guess.
All right, well, we'll talk a little bit about West Coast IPA today, because here we are in Portland, and I've just been drinking a whole lot of West Coast IPAs for the last several days, and it's top of mind. We'll talk about a few other things here. Obviously, you guys have a great team pulling things together, and you've got multiple locations. You make a little pizza, some pizza as well, and
lots of pizza.
2,000 barrels of beer, and make a lot of different styles and do a lot of interesting things, and fun way to talk about all of that through the course of this. But first, if you're looking for a brewery chiller that's worry-free and tough on GWP, then look no further. G&D Chiller's Elite 290 Series chiller uses propane as a natural refrigerant with extremely low global warming potential. This natural, highly efficient refrigerant with near zero GWP will help lower your facility's energy costs and impact on the environment. We're committed to a greener, more efficient future. Visit gdchillers.com to learn more. And brewers, what if your yeast could do more than just ferment? With Berkeley Yeast, it can. They bioengineer ordinary strains and make them extraordinary, enhancing the flavors you want and eliminating the ones you don't. Now, in addition to competitive pricing, they're offering free overnight shipping on 5+ barrel pitches. Try it out. If you don't love it, they'll happily refund you. So why settle for ordinary when you can brew with better yeast? Visit berkeleyyeast.com to learn more and start brewing with science on your side. Also, every beer menu could use a refresh button on the fruit flavors. That's why it's time to revisit Old Orchard's craft juice concentrate blends, where the latest additions include fruit punch, guava, kiwi, and pomegranate. They aren't stopping there and welcome flavor suggestions from the brewing industry. More information and free samples are waiting at oldorchard.com/brewer. That's oldorchard.com/brewer. All right, Shaun, why don't you give us the Ruse story? For those that didn't read the Breakout Brewer piece, and of course that was 2019, I think. So some time has passed since there's another chapter of the story. You guys just celebrated your 7th anniversary.
7th anniversary. So actually, Ruse made its first beer in 2015. This is a secret. Don't tell anybody because we're actually older, technically, by the age of the company name, but this our own facility has been open since 2018, so our 7th year, and it's been a great ride, man. Portland, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Such a great community of brewers.
It is a phenomenal, amazing community of brewers.
Yep.
So much camaraderie, sharing, mutual support.
Oh my gosh!
And it is in the world of brewing. It is one of the best regions of brewers that exist in the world of brewing.
For sure. This is the only place I've ever worked professionally, so that's all I know. But everyone is an open book to each other. It feels like, especially when you have like the Oregon Beer Awards or something like that, it's like wow, this is like a family reunion. You know so many people there.
Yeah,
Everyone
yeah.
knows everybody. I'm probably sure that's how it is most regions and stuff, but it feels great.
I've been to a lot of
Yeah.
places. The craft community and the culture is great everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's just extra great in Portland,
For
Oregon.
sure. So yeah, it's originally I'm a Michigan guy, so moved out here about 20 years ago. So next year will be my 20th year being a professional brewer in Portland and 20 years in Oregon, which is pretty cool. Moved out here with my wife and landed a job at a brew pub here in town. Was a pretty crappy home brewer before that, but kind of learned my chops in a commercial sense. And then, just kind of haven't looked back since, man. So it's just been bouncing around for a couple different breweries for a few years. And then this is kind of my history, I guess. About 7 years in, I felt like I was a good trained brewer, but not a great educated one, just kind of getting thrown to the wolves. So I went in 2014, went to the American Brewers Guild.
Yep.
And studied with Steve Parks over there. Mm-hmm. And then felt like I got really over a hump in my career of like educational stuff. And then shortly after that, I got a job at Culmination Brewing in 2015, and that's where I met my business partner, Devin.
Yeah.
And then we were also brewers for Culmination, but then we started Ruse out of their facility as an alternative proprietorship.
Right.
And did that for 2 years till we opened this place. So
Cool.
Yeah,
So you started Ruse. What was the idea behind it? You needed it. Like, this is a great craft beer community, but it's also a crowded craft beer community. And so, so obviously the beer has to be incredibly high quality, but then, what was the statement that you wanted to make out here in the world of craft beer?
Yeah, especially like 2015, I was really working hard on mixed culture beers a lot. So Ruse actually started off with like 3 clean beers, a West Coast IPA, more like American IPA nowadays, hazy IPA, and a dry hop saison, table saison. And then the rest of the beers were all barrel aged, mixed culture, fruited beers, saisons. So that's pretty cool. I feel like you've
pivoted a little bit.
Pivoted quite a bit, yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have any more barrels here, but I feel like that really having kind of the rustic mind sense of really drove sensory a lot for for Devin and I as brewers, beyond science focused, and Ruse is always obviously we think of science with brewing, but we also are sensory is number one, you know. So I feel like that pushed that envelope forward for us with sensory. And then, it's funny fact is actually the first kegs we ever sold in any market, we sold to Great Notion before they had their own beer. They were waiting on their TTB license, and we had just gotten ours, and we were able to sell our beer, and we sold our first IPA or something to them as a guest tap. So it's pretty cool. Great Notion was the first Ruse customer. Shout out to Great Notion.
Amazing.
But, it's been a fun ride. It was just the two of us until we opened this place, and then we hired Luke, who's been with us since the beginning, and then shortly 5 years later, we hired Cody from Seattle. And man, I've worked in this industry for 20 years. I've never worked with better brewers my whole entire life. So shout out to those guys too as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, let's we'll get into talk about some of the way that you think about making Portland style or West Coast IPA. Sure. Beers are pretty dry up here, and but also expressive, and also definitely there's some hops that Portland brewers really prefer that have certain characters, and I would love to talk about how that expresses. But like everybody, you're tasting lots of beers from all over the place and pulling lots of ideas in and making lots of IPAs also, and trying to keep it fresh and interesting for everybody. If you're also a craft beer subscriber, you may have seen the recipe for a fresh hop IPA in a recent issue, and just went out. It was on our email last week out there to folks. We'll talk about West Coast IPA, and we'll talk about that approach or even the multiplicity of approaches that you may take there. Before we do that, both classic and contemporary indie hops Lorien was developed with crisp, low-gravity beer in mind. A nod to the past with an eye to the future, Lorien seamlessly combines traditional elements of European noble hops with an elegant twang of American modernity. Low alpha and squeaky clean, Lorien provides a refined, smooth bitterness to any lager and delivers enticing flavors and aromas of lemon lime zest, fresh melon, wildflowers, sweet hay, and cinnamon spice. Refreshing the past for a present time, Lorien's classic profile and distinct finish are conducive to celebration and appetite and evoke feelings of a grassy meadow near a cold mountain stream. Summer is near and Lorien awaits. Learn more about Lorien and the rest of Indie's varieties at www.indiehops.com. Indie Hops, life is short. Let's make it flavorful. I could use a cold mountain stream right now.
Gosh, yeah.
It's pretty warm out here in Portland right now. And Extra Tough has been making rugged and reliable boots for 75 years, built for the harshest conditions. The Legacy Collection styles are oil, acid, and chemical resistant with a non-slip rated outsole. Be prepared for whatever comes your way and shop the latest Extra Tough boots on extratough.com. That's XTRATUF.com. All right, Shaun, as you guys are thinking about writing an IPA recipe, how does that start for you? Conceptually, obviously you're building and iterating and have some groundwork, but in this day and age, where do you start?
Yeah, so just kind of like some of the other West Coast brewers you've probably interviewed on here, we start with a pretty lean and mean grain bill. We've kind of played with quite a few Pilsner malts that we, like or dislike. The ones that we gravitate to are Gambrinus Pilsner, or
you like it super lean.
Just clean and just predictable,
right.
or a Pure Idaho from Great Western too as well. Those two have been really, we kind of switch back and forth between those.
Yeah.
Once in a while we'll use Wireman Extra Hell, but mostly just the two, the Gambrinus or the Pure Idaho. And then
is there a flavor, or is it just about color then for that?
Or
just kind of like production or whatever else.
Having enough structure to kind of hold up the hops, but not getting in the way too, So, a lot of these things we've just been, learned from trial and error, and also from your podcast, as well as, being on the West Coast. It's pretty great getting invited to festivals or collaborations and trying other friends' beers and be like, oh, well, okay, this is one note that we've missed somewhere, so asking a question to them or sharing an idea. So that's really, I think, pioneered kind of where we've figured out what we like for a malt base. And then we typically add either a bag of flaked wheat, flaked rice we use quite a bit too as well. We'll probably sometimes we do both of them together, and then, or we also use raw or malted white wheat too as well. So that's
just to soften the mouthfeel a little bit.
To kind of give a little bit more structure to the beer and stuff like that too. So
So tell me about the flaked rice.
Flaked rice, same thing. Just kind of lowering that fan and just giving it like a little bit of leniency that we just find that those beers snap a little bit more. So
snap.
I like that, don't you?
Gotta find the snap.
It feels good to say that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, typically that's pretty much it. And we shoot right around like 15 Plato starting gravities, usually where we end, where we shoot for 15 to 15 and a half, somewhere in that range. And then finish between 2.5 to 2. Sometimes they get down to like 1.8 to 1.9 or so. But we like them to post dry hop to finish around 2. So. And that's usually where they end up. So,
and that's is that enough to hold up to this kind of intense hop character?
Yeah. So, and talking with some of the friends in town too, I think ours might be more on the bitter side, maybe more comparable to like the San Diego style West Coast IPA, or like some of our friends down there in like Orange County and stuff. But
the bitter style,
a little bit more bitter, than some of the Northwest brewers maybe. So. Moving forward, so that's kind of our malt bill that we typically do, and then shoot for typical 2-to-1 sulfate to chloride, like most other people are doing. Mash pH, we range anywhere from 5.3 to 5.4. We're still kind of play different beers depending on what we're trying to achieve with that, and then constantly adjusting the pH throughout the brewing process with trickling lactic throughout the sparge and in the kettle. And then we do a post-boil water back too as well with to 175 like most people do.
Yeah. Cool pooling it.
And let's see.
It's just standard single infusion.
Single
mash.
infusion, yep.
Yeah.
So we have a 10-barrel direct fire system here. So
Direct fire.
yeah,
right.
I know. So yeah, our beers, especially for a while there, with try not to get too far off topic, but our lagers were coming off a little sweeter than some others, and definitely had to figure out malt and stuff like that to keep them lean, because we do get that
little bit of kettle caramelization. Yeah.
So. But yeah, with the West Coast, we typically don't see with those malts see like a nice lean, kind of lean and clean, and enough structure to hold up popping rates that we're pretty heavy. So we can go into that.
Yeah. Let's talk about then this boil and hot side. And,
So
and hop additions through this.
We've really become a huge fan of mixing flex for bittering with early pick Columbus from Gamache Farms.
Okay.
Too. We found that really adds super clean bitterness, but you get some of that leafy polyphenol bitterness from the Columbus too. So kind of blending those two.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's been really working for us. So we kind of achieved about 35 IBUs for that first edition. And then we typically will just do like a first wort or 90-minute edition with those, and then won't add anything till about 10 minutes then. And then we pretty much pick up the rest of the IBUs from late editions, which we go really heavy-handed on.
Yeah.
And highly suggest brewers, which I think, gosh, I can't remember who in town might have maybe told us about it, but we've been really getting good results with CO2 extract at about 5 or 10 minutes.
Really?
So we'll do a can of Simcoe or Mosaic, and then either a huge dose of T90s with that addition of that, and just add steep, impactful flavor and aroma to the beer hot side that I feel like you might lose cold side.
Okay.
And then we'll do a huge cool pool with a mix of T90s and cryo too as well. And then if you want to go even heavy-handed, we'll go knockout with Dynaboost too as well. So
Really?
yeah. So it's all the things, and you know how it gets pretty expensive to make these beers, but
sure.
Man, they taste good.
Talk to me about this CO2 extract, and I love that you're using different kinds of flowable products,
Totally.
different kinds of extraction methods, at different points for different kinds of impact. But what is it about that CO2 extract on the hot side, along with
sure.
T90s, that does it?
I feel like it really adds like a deep resinous character that sometimes with these heavily hopped IPAs you kind of miss. It gets like really planty, and it might even add, I feel like it even adds some structure back to the beer too as well. Just impactful, deep, long flavor too. And I was telling you earlier about that beer you're saying, the Lava Lamp Potluck. I feel like that beer, for example, has that deep, long finish because of the heavy-handed 5-minute addition of T90s and some Simcoe CO2 extract in there too as well. So pretty cool.
And what is it about Simcoe in particular that so good for you?
I don't know, just that clean. You get that clean bitterness from
it's
that.
Obviously a classic West Coast IPA hop. And,
totally. That one works. I feel like that the flavor profile, the Simcoe CO2 extract definitely works with a beer that doesn't have Simcoe as a lead star. So like, say you had a New Zealand IPA that it's heavily Nectaron, Rawaka, whatever.
Right.
But if you did have that Simcoe CO2 extract in there at 10, it still would play into the family flavor profile that you might have. So
interesting.
Yeah. So
it becomes like a through line then. Something in common for,
We go through Simcoe the most, but I think in the Craft Beer and Brewing Magazine fresh hop recipe I put in there, we have the Collected Questions, which has Mosaic CO2 extract in a fresh hop beer. So just throwing it all at the wall. But yeah, those things, T90s, cryo, the extract, CO2 extract, and Dynaboost are basically what we stick to. Those ones. We don't really veer too far off of any other hot products too much. So.
Yeah. We're going to do a little thing on Simcoe later on this year. I've got some interesting plans afoot.
Oh my gosh.
And everyone I think will enjoy that episode when it comes together. But
you need to get Coleman Hop Farm involved because they grow some insane Simcoe down there.
I saw Max this weekend at the festival. Let's talk about this cool pooling and hop addition there. Talk to me about in terms of like volumes and split up. I mean, I know you just mentioned it, but refresh my memory on your process around this.
Gosh, I think we'll typically do about a pound per barrel, a pound to 2 pounds per barrel in the cool pool. And basically...
And you've got a 10 barrel brew house.
Yeah.
So it's...
Sometimes we'll do
it's
like...
not a long... I mean, what's the overall cool pooling timing? And,
10 or 15 minutes. We don't have like a specific... Yeah. And then similar to, I think, like what Ian from ISM does too as well. We just calculate cryo, especially cold side, is just like normal T90s. So like we'll do like half a bag of cryo, but we don't equivalent to whatever 7.5 pound, it's just half a bag of hops to us, so so we'll do
we're not getting more efficiency out of it, we're just getting more intensity,
we're just adding more stuff at it, but
we just wanted to use even more expensive hops.
But we've found ways to get volume up too with adding the extracts and stuff like that, and then also Dynaboost. So we have also lowered plant matter in some of those hot side applications, and then with those we stick to about so I don't want to get off topic too much, but cool pooling, and then we'll typically let rest for 10 to 15 minutes and then knock out hot onto like Dynaboost, like usually 1 kilogram per 10 barrels, some people I know do more, but that's what we do. And then we'll do like a 3-minute.
So you're also then going through that kind of the Kelsey McNair method.
Yeah. So it gets pretty scrapey there for, tasting out of their tank, but man, when all that hot matter, we always call like super burny beer scrapey.
Okay.
Yeah. So hop scrapey. But after fermentation, and we can get some of that stuff out, and man, it tastes really nice, and those bright flavors from the hot side are really showing, and you're basically already have a foundation, and your palate, your canvas is already a beautiful canvas of hops to work with before dry hops, so.
Well, let's talk about those hops before we talk about fermentation. And you're here in Portland. You're 45 minutes from the hop fields here in Oregon. You're maybe 2 hours from Yakima, and in the other direction. And so there's a proximity to hops and a kind of immediacy to it that you get to experience. Now, you're still a smaller brewery. Well, I mean, not small, but 2,000-ish barrels. You're not doing humongous amounts, and but you also have a point of view in the hops that you select, or at least get from these growers, even if it's not a full selection. I don't know. You can tell me about that. How do you go through this kind of evaluation process with and experiencing some of the variety within the varieties,
totally,
and making selection or choosing hops throughout?
Yeah. So we do feel very fortunate being so close to Willamette Valley with all the farmers down there growing. We typically do also, on top of making tons of West Coast IPA and hazy IPA, we do probably 10 to 14 fresh hop IPA a year, just because, it's always a hustle to do.
10 to 14.
10 to 14. We're pretty much driving to the farm every day for about 3 weeks, and then, but it's always a hustle while it's happening. We're like, oh man, this is crazy, but it's such a beautiful thing that we can be so close to the farms and interact with farmers and the people that are working there, and know where your resources are coming from. Right. It's really cool. We build in relationships. Just feel very grateful that we live in the Northwest and we get to do that, because talk to some of my friends that are in Denmark and stuff like that that can't do that, So definitely take advantage of that and are grateful. It definitely opens up your mind to, some sensory stuff with where things are in the pick curve, and then that also applies then to when we go up to Yakima for selection too as well. And one thing, I'll always emphasize, and we've been selecting hops for about, 5 or 6 years now, but man, that is a make or break thing, I think, like with your recipes,
Right.
Obviously you can dial it in and find lots to sub and stuff, but when you get those good lots, it really shows, And this year especially. We got some of the best Mosaics I've ever smelled. And
what would make them the best?
For me, the flavor profile personally and what the team is looking for too is really translated into the beer what we're looking for. So like deep mango, light dankness, you get heavy red berry still, stuff like that we strive for but always don't end up seeing the results. But this year it felt like this. Unfortunately, it was from Brulot Farms too. So I was actually trying to contract more because I was like, screw 2025's lot. I just want the Brulot ones because they're unfortunately going to be closing or they're closed, So,
yeah.
But it looks like they're all spoken for, this year's. I know. I was like, I'll just use the 2024 Mosaics next year. But that and then having like indie down the street from us too, and finding lots of strata and stuff that we'll actually select a couple different lots of strata that we have a dank one, we have one that's just all strawberry and jammy, and I think finding stuff like that and then you can apply those to a certain recipe and we'll really, I feel like, shoot that recipe over the moon a little bit more. So
I love that idea of having different selections within the same hop variety.
Very cool. Very cool. And, I think this...
Tell me about strata in this kind of variety. I mean, I love this, it's cool to think about what that range actually can be. I mean, over time, a lot of brewers, as they select, the reps figure out kind of what zone they want to be in. And you may not even get other kinds of things on the table because, again, trying to do this efficiently and trying to, stay in the zone that a brewer wants to be in. But this is a different kind of way of thinking about that, of really looking for outlier, interesting things that could also work back into, in different kinds of ways.
Yeah. Especially strata, that hop, it's a really nice hop, and it applies so well in so many different beers too. I've seen it in West Coast Pilsners. We actually just did one, strata heavy, and, it's pretty cool that a hop, even like Mosaic or Citra, they have so much range of flavors that you can apply those to so many different recipes. Right. And that's kind of when we got that idea. All the lots smelled like, we like this one, but we like this one too. And we like this one too. So it's like, okay, what are we trying to go for here? We want some dank strata. We want some fruity strata. Okay, we're going to take these two.
Yeah.
So I think if you have the opportunity to do something like that and then, remember what the lot number is. Because we were like, what lot number is the dank one? What lot? So we have to write that down. But I think that's pretty cool.
Are there other hops in addition to strata that have that much range that you might use in similar ways?
Yeah, I think Mosaic, too, you can.
And then there's going to be a number of hops that don't have that kind of range.
And then obviously we use a lot of the early pick Columbus a lot. For both bittering and for dry hopping too, as well, for like American Pale Ale and American IPA, and then on the other hand we have Columbus Cryo that's dank as hell and awesome and punch you in the face, and then the early pick is lighter in flavor, piney, sappy, and I don't know. I think when you have some more tools in the toolbox of things like that, I think it can make things really interesting.
You're building range,
totally.
And and kind of different kinds of layers in these.
Yeah, and I think it keeps it interesting for the team too, to instead of just we're gonna just use our only Mosaics that we have or something. If you have the ability to pick a couple, it's pretty fun. So.
Sure. And then how do you think about working different varieties together into hop blends?
Totally. Yeah, and
because now I'm watching you work on these multiple axes, and you're using different picks of the same hop, but now you're also adding in other hops to add different kinds of characters. Let me glimpse into your hop blending brain there.
Yeah. So for example, we have a West Coast IPA Mirror Maker. It's a Mosaic strata beer, pretty heavy strata. That one was leaning real red berry, and we felt like it needed just a little of that dankness. And our, CGX, Strata CGX that we have is pretty dank, like danker than our dank regular T90 lot. So we're like, just sprinkle a little of that in, and it basically lifted the overall beer aromatically and flavor-wise.
Adding a little more dankness.
And you know what? I'll give it the best advice Ruse ever got is from our friend again, Ben Edmonds. 8 months ago, or maybe it's 8 or 9 months ago, he was over here hanging out after work, and he's hanging out in the back with all of us, and he said, I gotta be honest with you guys, your beers need more dankness. And just adding like a little underlying layer of that dankness can really lift the rest of the beer up. And so we started doing that and just kind of, lifted it up. And it doesn't always have to be Columbus Cryo.
Then he beat his Bayside IPA for gold medal
totally.
at the OBA, so he's not going to give you those hints anymore.
So just, and like it doesn't always need to be Columbus or anything like that. You can find it in Strata or even lots of Mosaic, that just adding like an underlying layer in there, and it doesn't need to be all one note dankness.
What is dankness for you? I mean, this is like a theoretical question that we've been talking about all weekend.
That is a great question, actually, because that has so much range to it. Dank could mean sweaty gym socks, into overripe fruit, into just straight dank, sticky bud,
Right.
So I feel like it's just a little element of all three of those, So I like a little of the sweatiness or cattiness in something to some extent, but it can't be just all that. It has to have some of that super ripe fruit character plus a little of that like cannabis character. So if you can get all three of those in there, plus adding a fruity hop like a Mosaic or Tetra or anything that's going to just be in there to just straight fruit, I feel like it's going to make it interesting.
Yeah.
So especially when we think of the blends, that's what we tend to lean to, or Simcoe or something like that. So
yeah, it's interesting. Like maybe a little less dankness in San Diego, and then the dank meter kind of starts cranking up around the Bay Area. Yeah, and then you get up here to Oregon, and there's quite a bit of it's definitely a little bit danker than some other places. But not. I mean, they're all great beers, and all of these different kind of expressions or other thing. It's just interesting to see, and it's something. What you're saying is something I've heard from a number of other brewers, like using that as kind of like a spice. It just a little bit like salt. It just can help lift and sculpt and call out some of these other nice flavors, just because it creates some contrast there.
Yeah, and just keep in harmony with it all, I think that's really important. For the Lava Lamp Potluck, especially, it's pretty dank beer, that one is a Crush, Mosaic, and Columbus Cryo beer. And, we kept on inching that Columbus Cryo down a little bit just to find a sweet spot, but it leans dank still, but it has harmony,
Right.
And I feel like that, when I was talking to some of the judges who judged that Oregon Beer Awards medal table, they said all the beers were dank on the table,
Right.
And the ones that were actually a little danker stood out, So it's not a bad thing either, especially in competition. So I don't know.
I found that it was interesting. And I hadn't thought as much about it until we were judging for the Best of the West this weekend, and often, you're sitting there thinking of this flight for 15 or 20 minutes and going through making notes and then talking to each other, and it's pretty easy to like knock out the bottom few, and it's actually not as hard to find your top two, usually top two, and then it gets really hard to get at the middle there. So as you're sitting there and talking about these things, like the beers are off-gassing, they're warming up, and now, 15, 20 minutes later, it's a small sample, so it loses temperature much faster. And, now you're still sitting there with a small cup of beer that's much warmer 15 minutes later as you're now trying to make a final decision. And it's kind of interesting to think about it in a judging context. It's the beers that hold on to some of that kind of structure deeper into over time, that in that context now 15 minutes later with everything warm, it's like, I actually kind of like this one has hung on kind of longer, and now I have still have some structure to it, whereas others, if it's not as much there, then they just kind of taste more round, and there's just the less kind of dynamic contrast. Yeah,
and I think that definitely goes back to that hot side hopping too as well, and layering, the CO2 extract, cryo, and T90s with maybe like a Dynaboost and stuff, and getting that long flavor in there that's going to hold on in the beer for, if you set it down and went and took a shower and came back down, your beer's on the kitchen table, it's going to still taste great for 25 minutes or whatever. Yeah, I think those things are what give the longevity of the beer. And I was talking to you earlier about Tetra as well too. We're still new to it, but we've been adding
lots of people talking about Tetra.
We've been adding Tetra. Started to add Tetra to the beer. We're still trialing it to improve, foam stability, head retention. These heavily hopped West Coast IPAs that don't have a ton of malts. We don't add carapils or anything like that to them. But and then also getting that longevity of hop stabilization too as well. So that we've been working on that too as well. So, but yeah, I think coming back to hot side hopping, that is truly, don't forget about hot side hopping.
Don't forget about hot side hopping.
Because dry hops have been a focus for so many years. And I think, late additions and applying some of these cool new hop products or old school ones like the CO2 extract to, the kettle can really make the beer stand out long term.
Sure. Well, let's talk about fresh hops for a little while. 14 fresh hop brews over the course of a year, or the course of the harvest season sounds a little bit insane to me. And I kind of want to dig into what your process is. There is a variety of process out here. We did a video class of Single Hill on this. They've got their process, big fresh hop brewers like Fremont, they have a process. Breakside has a different process, and it's a very cold side process, and so there's not just one story of a fresh hop brewing. Let's talk about that, but first, resources may be limited, but your creativity doesn't have to be. Yakima Chief Hops knows that every drop matters, and brewers are seeking efficiencies in their operations. Hyperboost is a smarter dry hop solution that delivers bold, variety-specific aroma and flavor you trust while cutting down on shipping, storage, and waste. Less bulk, less hassle, more flavor, more beer, more profit. Keep pushing the limits of your craft. Yakima Chief Hops has the hops products to help you go further. Find out how much more you can make with less. Try Yakima Chief Hops efficiency calculator tool at yakimachief.com. I feel guilty about talking about overusing cryo hops now. No. Also, if you're launching a brewery or acquiring an existing one, consider our brewery workshop and New Brewery Accelerator September 14th through 17th in Fort Collins, Colorado. Over 4 days, we engage in panel discussions, technical brewery tours, networking, and small working group sessions that help you better understand and prepare for the challenges of brewery operation. Tickets are on sale now. Visit breweryworkshop.com for more information and to secure your spot. So let's talk about fresh hops for a while, Shaun.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So there's a funny debate kind of going on. We kind of just poke the bear a little bit too. We always do like a hashtag hot side hopping because we're a firm believer of hot side at fresh hops. And there's a few of us in there. So anytime we make one, we're like, new fresh hop beer, hashtag hot side hops, And, but yeah, I mean, I don't think there's really a right or wrong way to do it.
The joke for everyone who might not get that is that Breakside is a cold side.
Yeah, there's a few people that just swear by cold side.
Right.
And I don't think it's a right or wrong way. It's just fun to kind of have a little debate about.
You can make award-winning beers both ways and compelling beers that are really fun to drink.
Totally.
Again, there's not a right or a wrong way.
Yeah,
but a little bit of good-natured ribbing is always
totally. Leading up to fresh hops, it's always a crazy scramble because we pretty much have to have all our tanks typically like semi-empty.
Right.
Because especially here in the Northwest, accounts like fresh hops, that's all they want, for about a month,
Yes.
So if you have like a new IPA coming out or pale ale or something that's not fresh hop, it's going to be a little harder to sell, But we typically will just kind of prepare for.
There's a commercial pressure during the season.
Seriously, right? Yeah, no.
If it's not a fresh hop, people aren't going to order it on tap.
Yeah,
they will order another brewery's beer that's
crazy.
A fresh hop beer.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's here in Oregon is wild, and it's pretty cool. I think it goes back to being grateful for where you live and stuff like that. But yeah, just getting ready for and then having the recipes in place that we know that Strata gets picked early, so we'll know what beers. And honestly, even if the hop's not typically in a recipe that we make it'll be like Citra Mosaic beer that we always make, but it has Strata, fresh hops in it now.
Right.
We typically will just, have somebody brewing. One of us will run down to the farm, Devin, my business partner, or myself, and we'll run down to the farm and grab all the hops and almost try not to fall asleep on the way back because the hop. Have you heard about the hop gassing?
No.
Oh yeah, so like freshly picked hops kind of make you drowsy.
Huh.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy. So
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
have 1,000 pounds of fresh bales in your car or
Yeah.
bags of nugs in your car or whatever, it's kind of it's so much intense aroma and it kind of makes you drowsy. So you have your windows down, get the king
Right,
gizzard turned
right.
up or whatever it is. And then
You got to make some caffeinated hop water to take
right?
with you
I know.
over that.
Yeah, we'll just come back and we turn our mash tun into a giant hop bag basically.
Right.
And the cool thing about the hops, the temperature of the hops are usually just because they're picked early in the morning, they kind of retain the flour retains that
Right.
kind of 50 degrees or whatever. So you got a natural cool pool when you just run the wort over into them. So we'll actually run over to our whirlpool first after, and we'll adjust some of the bitterness of the actual recipe, but then we drop the pH super low to adjust with all the fresh hops coming in the beer. Not super low, but like 4.9 or something, because then we'll still knock out around that 5.1. And then we'll whirlpool for like 5 minutes or so, just get some of the solids out, and then run over to our mash tun and have the rakes on slow. We don't macerate them like Cloudburst or Single Hill, I think, has that pelletizer and stuff. But we just kind of turn those rakes on slow and just kind of mash them down really good to make sure everything gets saturation.
Right.
And then kind of let it rest for 10 or 15 minutes, and then
Nice little steep, and then
let it steep like a little tea, and then knock out, and then we'll just treat it like the rest of the beer like a normal beer. So we'll dry hop at still like 3 or 4 pounds per barrel. And then, but yeah, it's
anything special with dry hopping? Anything are you using?
we're just using T90s.
Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes if certain varieties don't have that much impact, like cold side, you're going to get that straight watermelon candy. Sometimes they lean a little bit more vegetal to us, and you get that kind of swampy forest floor character. But they are definitely more noticeable, I feel like, in the beer. But hot side, I feel like you get deep, impactful flavor that is kind of like one of those oils I was talking about earlier. It just lingers in the beer longer. So there's no right or wrong way. It just depends on kind of what you want in your final recipe, but we typically just do hot side. Although this year we're going to try something cool. We have some of those flash frozen cryo pellets. So we're going to do fresh hop with cones and then dry hop with the with fresh frozen cryo. So that should be kind of fun.
Cool.
New little experiment.
Right.
Stay tuned. So hopefully... But yeah, we do blends,
Are there certain hop varieties that really lend themselves to fresh hop? And
totally.
we should say this, the fresh hop season lasts, about a month for the harvest, and then different varieties are being harvested, in these different windows. And so, usually you've got your early harvest hop varieties, and then, your mid varieties, and then your late, and it's just this ongoing cycle of whatever is now being picked in that kind of time.
Yeah, I'm always always every year, one of my favorite varieties is Simcoe,
Yeah.
That window is usually pretty good too, late August and stuff. So unfortunately out here we have to deal with forest fires. So it's typically you don't see as many fires around that time. But yeah, they're just so impactful in fresh hop beers, I feel like. And the cones we've been typically get them from Coleman, have just been insane, just bright grapefruit, some dankness in there. One year we got this one lot that was just, I didn't even think it was, I was like, did you pick a Citra Mosaic? Or it would just smell different, but it was Simcoe, and it's, but yeah, it's so impactful in fresh hop beers, Simcoe. But we typically lean to Strata, Simcoe, Citra, Mosaic, and then we'll throw a random in there, like a Cascade or we've gotten Amarillo. Gosh, some of the indie hop varieties like Lorien and stuff like that. Oh, Luminosa. Yeah. That was pretty cool. We did a fresh hop Luminosa beer one year. But yeah, Simcoe, still the number one fresh hop. I don't know. Something about that. The cones fresh like that just are very sticky and impactful in a hot side hashtag hot side hopping fresh hop beer.
So, do you make any other alterations to your baseline IPA recipes when you're brewing with fresh hops?
Typically we'll adjust some of the bitterness hot side just because we'll pick. There's been years where we didn't, and actually the beer turned out great. But typically maybe some of that like initial first boil or first wort hopping will lower the BUs on that a hair. Just to take on, we usually do around 15 pounds per barrel. That's what we shoot for the fresh hops. And we've been kind of sticking to that, and it's been working good. So with all those cones in there, we get quite a bit of bitterness still. So, but yeah, we adjust a little bit, but not much. But yeah, pH is absolutely.
You're not getting too much bitterness though from that steep.
No, 15 minutes or so. Right. And then, just, make sure that you're adjusting any pH to take on that huge hop load late, that all the work that you've done up to that point, and then you're just going to knock out with a high pH with those hops.
Right.
So
cool. Anything else to fresh hops?
We've done some fresh kilns too. Those are pretty cool, but haven't experimented too much with those. But yeah, there's no right or wrong way to apply them. We've been talking about trying a little bit more cold side just because some people look for that kind of candy-like character that you get from the cold side. Typically, we wouldn't, but maybe, when you make 10 or 14 of them, you might as well throw a curveball in there once in a while. So It's just also a safety issue trying to get a hop sack out of a tank that it's not fun either. So when they weigh like 1,000 pounds in there, so.
Cool. Let's go back to the general topic of IPA, and through the course of the year, I mean, you all sell a lot of IPA, and you have some really some consistent brands, but you also are out there. Customers want to come here, and they might have their favorite, but they also want to try new things.
For sure.
So talk to me about your kind of approach to, I guess we could call it innovation in IPA, but, and how you like stretch, you mentioned having that kind of Columbus and Simcoe through lines that seem to be, kind of common flavors that people expect out of Ruse IPAs. But then, how do you stretch that in different directions, to be creative and also, test things out and learn through them, and also provide interesting new beers for your customers?
Yeah, sure.
Because this is very, you sell most of your beer over your counter, and you got to get people to your locations.
Yeah, for sure.
And having interesting things from the drink, new and, is a big part of that.
Gosh, I'm sure like, a lot of your brewers that you interview can also contest from this is just listening to your customer too. We have so many amazing people that come in here that are just the kindest people, and you can go to the bar and they'll tell you like, hey, that one beer that you just made with 1019 cryo or something, that is really cool. You should keep doing that or something. It's good to have like instant feedback like that from somebody that maybe comes in all the time and tries your beers. And you don't want to have all the beers have Tetra, Mosaic or Simcoe in them too, so we're trying to.
And I guess you guys do hear some of that because the brewery is like visible through the tap
you
room.
wave to somebody, they'll call you over, But I think listening to customers, we bounce a lot of, like I was telling you earlier, bounce a lot of feedback from our other brewer friends, talking to other brewer friends to get ideas of, hey, we're trying this, and So, like for an example, we just made an anniversary beer with Brewhouse, and that had the 1019 cryo in it with Maui Nelson, Freestyle Maui Nelson, and Nectaron or something in there. But I think finding layers of flavors that work harmonious together, noticing that maybe all the beers on tap have Citra Mosaic in them, so let's find a different hop to use.
Sure.
Like right now we have a kind of a not old school pale ale, but like kind of a classic pale ale with Chinook, Centennial, and Columbus in it.
Right.
So I think keeping flavor profiles interesting, that they just don't all lean tropical or all lean dank, or I think kind of looking at your tap list and saying, hey, we're missing this flavor, or we're missing this, so that kind of, I think, pioneers the team to think of ideas when coming up with recipes and stuff.
Yeah. Then how do you then work that into a process, creative process for across the whole team?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we do all the recipe development together, which is cool. You know, all four of us. There's four of us, and there's no head brewer here really. We don't give ourselves titles because there's basically four head brewers that work together. You know, it feels like it. So we all collaborate on ideas, and that team mentality I think is really important to pioneering recipe together and coming up with new ideas. Like, hey, I want to use this hop. I was reading in Craft Beer and Brewing magazine that Westbound and Down or somebody in Colorado is using it, you know? So, you know, I think, just listening to podcasts and coming up with ideas with the team that way. And then finding where it lays in the recipe, you know? It's like, we're not going to make a West Coast IPA with 100% 1019, you know? We know it works well at like a 25% or, you know, so layering the flavors then from there.
Yeah.
To come up with a new flavor profile. Crush has been a good one for us with that, you know, that we've been really liking layering in there with the classics, you know, with the Simcoe and Mosaics and stuff.
What is it about Crush that has been jumping out for you?
Just that huge red berry character that, it just stands out. Maybe I get maybe some like orange kind of rind in there too. Yeah. I think that really plays well into many different beers too and recipes too. So just listening to customers, talking with friends, coming up with the ideas together as a team and then trial and error. Then after that, we're like, oh, we didn't like that hop, so we're not using that again, you know? And, we actually, trying to think, we've played around with a lot of the hop products that most people are using, and there's been some that just didn't work for our facility that we didn't love, you know? So not saying that we'll never use them again, but there's, you know, just finding the pieces of the puzzle that do work. So
and you think it just is the way that the brew house is set up and the way that, you know, things are working there? Or?
Yeah, or just like, what's the end result you want? What's the story you want to tell, you know?
Yeah.
Did it get there with using euphorics or using, you know, some new oil or something, you know, and if it, you know, or, you know, so I don't know, you know, it's just finding what tells the story. And if, you know, you get to from the start to the finish and then the finish isn't what the story should have been. So it's, I don't know. That's kind of a funny way to look at it, but that's kind of what we, think of like, okay, we want this, we're trying to develop a recipe that's going to be modeled off a refreshing tiki drink in the summer, you know, so something like that, you know, you layer all the flavors, and then if you fall off the cliff at the end, maybe it's not the right flavors.
So then I think that's interesting. So through this creative process, you come up with basically an idea or an occasion or a thought about what this is going to be, and then kind of structure in order to create that kind of flavor. For sure. Yep. And then especially some of the hazies we've been making, you know, especially pre-COVID, we were heavy hazy, you know, and we were always making one West Coast, one hazy a week, but the hazies just kind of always, I don't know, we were making a lot more, it seemed like. Like we're trying to take those beers now and not keep doing the same thing and trying to apply new ideas to something that we've already, I feel like, got a pretty good formula. We've made so many of them, you know, but like, you don't want to just get caught in your own ways, you know, and gotta kind of keep pioneering forward and finding new things to make it better, you know, even when they do win a medal or something, you know, keep, don't rest on your laurels, you know. That's a good feedback that we always talk about here in Portland with all the community, you know. It's just, how do we keep pushing each other forward to new stuff? So I feel like hazies especially, we've been trying to like use new hop products and maybe like make them drier, but not like too dry, like a 1.8 Plato one, you know, but especially like keeping them pillowy and you Portlanders juicy, and your dry 1.8 to 2 Plato hazy IPAs, like ours are high, ours are like 4 to 5. So, but I just think constantly coming up with new ideas, listening to customers, talking with your brewer friends, working together as a team really works. So for you and the brewing team, what are the problems that you guys have been working on and trying to kind of overcome, and then what are the kind of creative how are you stretching out into whether it's new beer styles or
Sure.
new kind of going into some uncharted territory for yourselves just to keep you challenged and interested, and also
Totally.
what are some of the kind of interesting things you guys have just been toying with or working on, or some of those kinds of you think about certain beer styles almost like rock climbing, bouldering problems.
Totally. Yep.
You're working it and trying to figure out your way around it. Are there some of these kinds of creative projects that that have been keeping you guys energized?
Yeah, especially I'll talk maybe like a little bit about like our loggers a little bit. I feel like we've come a long way with those, especially, and I think that has to do with balance and bitterness. For a while, I think we were like the IBUs were kind of low and they're coming off flabby, and having a direct fire system, maybe like a little sweeter than most people. And then finding a balance of attenuation in those and bitterness has really balanced out the malt character that comes off in those. We do single infusion lagers just with our setup. But yeah, I think that's, we've had some
of
of those
solutions there, changing malts or just
malt. Yeah. Adding more hops, adding more bittering hops, layering the hops away where they're not coming off too like leafy in a lager that has not much to hide behind,
Right.
So we've definitely had some boulders in the way with that for sure. We've had some flabby ones come out, high carb on those are always really nice to get that snap, Yeah, and getting that kind of natural carbonation from spooning, and then filtering too, with those beers too. Like I feel like we don't filter. I would say we filter 95% of our lagers with a lenticular filter, and I notice a difference in those. And I feel like that's one rocky that you climb over, And the end result for me is a softer mouthfeel, like just a more rounded flavor in the beer, brilliance that that you can't achieve, I don't think, with anything like Biofine. And we're a small brewery; we don't have like a centrifuge or anything like that. But yeah, just I feel like that
helps pull off some of the harsher kind of
totally. And in the past, those were hiccups that we were just, man, why is this lean so sweet and this drinkability so low? And and just it goes back to the, once again, I'll keep saying it, but community asking questions. I think I went over to a friend's brewery. I think I went and bugged Kevin Davey once at Wayfinder when he was there, and he's like, "You're not filtering your beers?" I was asking about this hell once, and it's just little things like that, and for example, actually, this is a funny thing. This is something that I'm thinking of that happened with the lager recently. We were getting breakthrough in our filters recently, and I was in Japan with Kevin, and he's like, "What are you lagering your lager temp of your beers at?" I'm like, 29 degrees Fahrenheit. And he's like, "Raise that temp before you start filtering." And I think chill haze was breaking through the filter, so I started raising the temp up to 34 before filtering crystal clear beer. So those are little hurdles that I should have thought of that I didn't, and it's good to bounce ideas off friends and stuff. So
for sure. Well, as we get to the end here, let's look at the big picture. You just had the 7th anniversary of this location. And obviously you'd brewed a few years in an alt prop before that, so a little bit older, more like 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
But 10 years in, obviously beer is undergoing its own interesting conditions out there in the market these days. There's some ups and some downs, and there's some hard times, and it's getting harder to sell certain kinds of beer, and growth is not coming by as easy as it might have once come. And but you guys have been doing it for a long time, and so what keeps you animated? What do you get excited about? And how do you see things progressing over the next 3 or 5 years? Where do you want Ruse to be 5 years from now?
Especially like with that event this past Saturday, it made me realize, with seeing so many people that I hadn't seen in a while, that experience is really important, in this day and age. Who doesn't want to go somewhere and have a fun memory that they can go be like, I went there, I had a great time, they had a DJ, like I met up with my friends I hadn't seen in a while. Like I think going back to, experience, that is so important in this industry too, having an experience beyond the beer too. We have 2 pizza places, so that's been pretty fun. So keeping the pizza places exciting, and we have all our own beer there, which is awesome to pair with it. So we make a lot of beers that pair with pizza. So we actually have an Italian Pilsner called Pizza City. So I think, keeping.
That is one also great thing about Oregon and beer is this connection of food and beer.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so close due to the older legal things around that.
Totally.
And, and so it was always nice, like where tap rooms kept popping up in other parts of the country. Like, there's food everywhere here with beer.
Yeah,
that creates that experience and that hospitality approach.
Yeah, Ruse didn't have food. We had like food carts and pop-ups and stuff like that, but we did not have consistent food for the first 5 years we were open. 5 years? 4 years we were open. So coming out of COVID, we were like, we need food. So we opened the pizza places, and man, that has really helped, I think. Yeah, I think having food in this day and age in a brew pub or a brewery setting is important. Having an experience is very important moving forward. And where I see Ruse just keep on making consistent stuff and hanging out with other brewers, talking with other brewers, sharing ideas with each other, because that's so important, because everyone wants to drink good beer. So we should share ideas with each other. And then just, keeping part of that Portland community together and our listening to our customers and stuff. So
For sure. Well, that feels like a great place to bring it to a close. G&D Chillers has chilled the beers you love, partnering with 3,000 plus breweries across North America and beyond. Berkeley yeast bioengineers ordinary strains to make them extraordinary. Old Orchard's flavored craft juice concentrate blends now include fruit punch, guava, kiwi, and pomegranate. Indie hops Lorien combines traditional elements of noble hops with an elegant twang of modernity. Extra Tough has been making rugged and reliable boots for 75 years. Hyperboost is a smarter dry hop solution that delivers bold, variety-specific aroma and flavor. And the Brewery Workshop will help prepare you for the challenges of brewery operation. If you've enjoyed this episode, go to beerandbrewing.com, click on the subscribe button. Become a subscriber to Craft Beer and Brewing if you are not already. And if you're not, why are you not a subscriber? You get great stories and great recipes like fresh hop IPA recipe from Shaun here. Only out there for subscribers. So hit that subscribe button and become a supporter of Craft Beer and Brewing. And help us in our mission to bring stories from great brewers all over the world directly to you. Shaun, if people want to learn more about Ruse, come drink the beer here in Portland, or get a hold of it and experience this, one of your multiple locations. Where do they find you, both in real life and out there in the digital space? Sure, yeah. Thanks so much, everybody. Feel free anytime to email me any questions you might have. My email is Shaun, SHAUN, @rusebrewing.com. And I'm always at the brewery's my home base, so brewing location. So I'm usually here Monday through Friday. So or Devin, my business partner, is a great guy. You guys would like him too. So or Luke and Cody, come say hi. Come by, buy a beer, talk about brewing. Yeah. And one thing I'll add too is don't forget the team mentality too. Team makes the world work. So. Fantastic. Well, it's been great talking with you about brewing, Shaun. Yes, and thanks so much, Jamie. Yeah, it's been fun to get here and see it all. And cheers. Cheers, man. This podcast has been brought to you by Craft Beer and Brewing Magazine, for those who love to make and drink great beer. To learn more or to subscribe, visit beerandbrewing.com or find us on social media @Craft Beer Brew.